ladies and gentlemen, man, it's a distinct pleasure, honor to get with a brother that I admire, I look up to, somebody I've been wanting to build with and learn from for quite some time, because he's truly on the front lines as a freedom fighter, as an activist, or as they call it, Raptivist, because his bars is crazy, and been that way for many moons. One of the co-founders of Until Freedom, but specifically one of the brothers that's always in the fight with us, and we're here in Louisville, Kentucky, seeking justice for Breonna Taylor. But to take this moment and get some game and some wisdom and a session of education from the one and only Mysonne. What's up? What's good, my brother?
Good to see you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, come on, man. We've been talking about doing this for a minute. Actually,
Yes, sir.
you actually have been on Cannon's class before,
Yeah.
when we was on a field trip, when we was in the D.C. jails,
Exactly.
speaking to the brothers and sisters in there, and you was dropping some game on them from somebody who is actually, been incarcerated, been on the inside and come out and reformed and got to it the right way. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to unpack all of that on your journey. But specifically, man, even as we coming to you from an African American museum called Roots 101, really talking about the power of black people beyond slavery, not just the kings and queens that have been enslaved. So to even be in an environment like this, know that we seeking justice for Breonna Taylor. Why is this moment so important, especially for your organization, Until Freedom has planted and rooted yourselves until we get that justice?
First of all, I want to thank you for having me, man.
No doubt.
And tell you that I appreciate what you do. You know, how you've represented the culture, how you've represented black men,
Right.
from youth.
Yeah,
Because we don't get a lot of visions of young black men that we see grow into power and continue to, to be entrepreneurs, to speak, and to represent us properly. So I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
As far as this moment, man, for me, being here is monumental. Like right now, Kentucky, Louisville.
You gotta say it right. Louisville.
is ground zero.
Yeah.
It's probably the Selma of our generation. And when we look at Breonna Taylor's case, I remember when it first happened. Ben Crump had called us and was like, explain to us Breonna's case, because we hadn't even heard about it.
Right.
And when we started to listen to it and understand that a woman had been killed in her home, an innocent woman had been killed for no knock warrant that she wasn't even for her, for somebody who didn't live there and who was already in custody. And when you look at all of those things and those dynamics, and then you realize that people lied on paperwork and all type of things, and that there was nobody even talking about it. Like, that was really scary to me. But then I started to realize that in America, black women have never received any level of justice.
Right.
Not any level of justice. Like, I cannot recall, because I actually can call off a few names of officers who got arrested for killing brothers. Like, I can call off a few. But I have yet to see an officer get any type of reprimand from killing one of our sisters.
Wow.
So this right here is detrimental. This is going to set precedents.
Right.
And I remember I was at a press conference with Linda about a week ago, and she said something that was so serious. She was like, if we can't get justice for Breonna Taylor, then we can't get justice for nobody. And for me, that's how serious it was. It was like, as a black man in America, understanding that we ourselves have failed our black women in so many different ways.
So many ways.
We haven't stood by them. We've allowed them to be beat and harmed and killed, and we've been silent. We've said we've minded our business. And I just think in this moment, that's no longer acceptable.
Right.
So as being a co-founder of Until Freedom, and accepting the leadership of a black woman like Tamika Mallory, who has shown that she's supposed to be a leader.
Right.
And accepting her leadership, knowing that sometimes I'm going to have to stand in front of her, sometimes I'm going to have to stand alongside of her, sometimes I'm going to have to stand behind her, and that's the role of a black man for me. So understanding that.
Positioning in
all places. And I think we have to get back to that mentality as black men. So for me, that's what it is. It's establishing my rightful position as a black man in this world.
Right.
You know, because I'm supposed to be a black woman's protector. They supposed to feel protected when I'm in the room. Every time I'm in the room or around them, they're not supposed to feel like no harm can come to them.
Wow.
And I think we've moved so far from that we have to reestablish that.
Man, you just dug in so so quickly, because I want to unpack all of that, and I think let's go, really the journey of Mysonne, just based off of even my recollection and my first introduction to who you were. Probably I'm not sure if you know this or not, but even back in the 90s, late 90s for me, I actually was managed and signed by Violator. So to me, even from afar, I was a kid, signed, Chris Lighty was my manager, and you was the one. You know what I mean? Like, they was talking like, yo, this dude, and like even off the Violator soundtrack and all of that, like, bars was crazy, next superstar MC, and then, next thing we heard is like, yo, my son locked up, and I'm like, yo, what happened? So even through that journey, like, if you could take us through that step of, initially during the hip hop's golden era, you was the next golden boy, and then how did it get derailed?
Well, shout out R.I.P. to Chris Lighty, man.
R.I.P. to the king, for real.
Yes, man. Chris, I remember Chris used to come to my door in the projects, to my baby mother's house in the projects. I was like 21 years old, and he used to pick me up in his Benz and be like, yo, you signing with Violator. He picked me up, take me to the office, and had me in the office with him all day, and he was really persistent. And at that time, it was between him and Rough Riders. And D&Y is like my big brothers, man. But I was young, and I had my own little team, and I wanted to establish our team as what Rough Riders
You could be the next Rough Rider.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, we can and we would call it problem children. I was like, nah, I want the problem children to be like the Rough Riders.
Right.
I want to be the DMX of my team. You know what I'm saying? So that was the only reason I didn't go with Rough Riders. And and it hurt me because D and Y was like my big brothers, but then Chris was like, yo, this is yours. You got it. You can do what you want here. So, I got signed in 1998, late 98. And the whole process was just coming from the Bronx, coming from the High Bridge section of the Bronx, poverty-stricken. My father died of an overdose when I was 11 years old. My mother was addicted to drugs all through my childhood. So, and playing basketball, trying to do things positive, but then getting caught up in the streets and, certain things of that nature. But, the crazy part about it is that I actually went to jail for a crime that I didn't commit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the legend out there.
That's what it is. So karma don't miss you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I did a lot of things that I wasn't proud of.
Right.
And it was, poverty is violence.
Yeah.
We there's a culture of poverty that creates violence and creates crime. And I was caught up in that culture. I was tired of being the kid going to junior high school and high school with holes in his jeans, and being made fun of. So you get in. That's when the crack. You got to it. And so moving towards my hip hop, when I started rapping, I felt
the buzz was crazy.
The buzz was crazy. The buzz was crazy. And I remember it started because there was the legendary battle between me and Sean. In front of Justin's. And I had just came outside. My manager Tone was, he used to manage Mace. He managed a lot of different people. He was J Mills' manager. He did a lot of different stuff. And he had came and got me. And that's how I met Chris. So we were still negotiating the deal with Chris. Matter of fact, first person I was supposed to sign with was Entertainment.
Oh, Lance.
He took me to Lance. And I sat there and I rhymed, and we did a song the same day. He's like, yo, we're going to sign you. And we didn't do the deal because we were still, shopping around. But we went and got a lawyer. Matt Middleton was my lawyer at the time. Him and Ed Woods.
Shouts out to R.I.P.
You know what I'm saying? So when that happened, I was like, they was talking about Sean. That's when Sean had first came in. And they was like, this guy sound like Biggie. So I had a chip on my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? They like, he the next big thing. Puff gonna sign him. I'm like, man, I'll kill him. And this just so happened we inside Justice that night, and he's outside rapping with Nori.
Right.
Him and Nori's in a little cipher going back and forth. So Matt comes in like, yo, they outside rapping. Come out there. So I go out there and I just jump into the cypher. That was the first time I met Nori. Nori was like, Dad, who's this? He's like, slow down, Tiger. So he gets out the battle, and then it's just me and Sean going back and forth. And it was like a legendary battle. Yeah. The whole world, the word spread. And then, that's how I ultimately signed with Chris. But before I was signed, in 1997, I had caught a robbery case. I had caught a case for a cab driver who said I robbed him that I never robbed at all. Right. It was a discrepancy, and somebody else hit him and beat him up, and he blamed me for it. Wow. And then, in the fact, as that was happening, we moved on. They picked me up out of a lineup for a case that I never had anything to do with at all. Wow. So the injustice system was crazy. So we was in the studio. We actually was in the Hit Factory tonight, the second case they got for. Wow. But my mind was so clouded at that time. Yeah. I'm young, I'm 21, I've just got my first deal. I'm not even thinking straight. Right. You know what I'm saying? So when they came and got me, they came to my mother's house looking for me for questioning me. Right. So then I called my lawyer, like, yo, they want me for questioning. So he calls, we just want you to go through a lineup. A robbery happened this day. I'm thinking, well, I wasn't there. So the lawyer's like, all right, well, let's just go through. We went through, and I actually got picked out of a lineup. Wow. For a robbery that.
And they say, like, the accuracy in lineup pickups are so off.
So off.
Clearly.
It was so, and I'm like, yo, I wasn't even nowhere near it. Right. So now I'm fighting 2 robbery cases. Wow. Which the illegal system decided that they was going to try me as one case. So they had 2 different victims going to one court case saying that I robbed both of them. Wow. So it looked like this was
conspiracy
just exactly. It looked like, yo, he got to do something. There's 2 people in this.
Yeah, he the guy.
And they both happen to be cab drivers.
Oh wow.
So this is like I look like this
driving.
And during this time, it was serial in the Bronx. It was like a thing where they was just robbing cab drivers. So they was trying to pin that on whoever they could pin it on.
Yeah, and they trying to make you was the one.
I was the one. The DA refused to go through anything. The guy actually, the first guy actually came to the courthouse and said that he made a mistake. That I wasn't the guy. And it was
even the concept, I mean, like the fact that, like, yo, I'm about to be one of the biggest rappers in the game. Why would I be out here robbing cab drivers?
I kept saying the same thing. They was like, nah.
I could buy the cab company.
Exactly. They was like, nah, the first case you wasn't signed. So the first case I actually wasn't signed, but the second case I was signed already. So I'm like, yo, I was literally in the studio recording. Like, I don't, like, what are you talking about?
Like, that doesn't make sense.
They're like, nah, this is what you do. They convinced the jury. So, and that's why I tell people, man, as jurors, we have to use common sense because they know how to pick
manipulate.
They know how to manipulate you. They know how to paint pictures of you. And I remember I had a black judge. Her name was Patricia Williams, and the way they was painting this picture. Now, I was going to John Jay College. I was actually studying law. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And I remember her sitting on presiding as the judge and just looking at me like she just thought I was the worst person in the world.
Wow. One of us. And it hurt my heart. Right. That hurt my heart so bad because my grandmother was coming to court and to see a black woman looking at me like that. And I'm like, I didn't do this. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I'm saying is like, I just didn't do this. But, and they said, I found out that they said an innocent person is one of the hardest people to defend. Especially when you doing it the right way. Because you ain't coming there with no trying to do a plea.
You ain't come up there with this made up. I was here, got this witness to do this. I was just home. I was me and my man.
I don't
in
need
the
no
studio.
alibi because I was at the crib.
Exactly, I was at the crib. Like, it ain't. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So it was a roller coaster, man. So blowing trial and getting sentenced to 14 years when you just got a $1 million record deal was like real harsh.
Yeah, especially as someone like yourself who's educated. So you wasn't like no knucklehead that was ignorant to what's going on.
Exactly.
You wanted to do the right thing. You was trying to get out the streets, and this whole energy haunted you for something that you didn't even do. So, man, let's talk about that, man. That moment when you like, man, I gotta go sit down, and I was almost there.
That was tough for me because it was a process, right? It was like a 2-week process. Because what they do to you in this injustice system is they just keep prolonging it. Right. And they make you think there's nothing going on. So I remember actually I had went to court, and before I got to this judge, it was Judge Shineland who was Judge Judy's husband.
Oh, wow.
Her husband was my judge, and he dismissed my case. He literally looked and was like, yo, what's going on here? Y'all was supposed to have all of this and that. Y'all don't have nothing. We dismissing the case.
Right.
And then they was like, no, you can't do this. Like, I'm dismissing it. So I'm thinking it's dismissed. I'm in Miami for 2 months later, I'm in Miami.
Right.
My lawyer calls like, oh, they appealed it. They bring
So wait, the system appealed it? Like the
DA.
The DA appealed it.
Him dismissing the case. So
That's
he like,
crazy.
yo, they appealed it. So the case back on. You got to be back in court in another 2 weeks. So,
after it was already thrown out. That's crazy.
So I'm like, I'm thinking like, yo, how the hell does this keep going? Like,
Right.
why does this keep going? So when I went back to court, that's when I had the new judge, and she was like, this case has been going on for 3 years almost. It got to go to trial. We got to start trial immediately. So I'm like, immediately trial? What the? Now, where's the trial? What are you talking about, the trial?
You already threw it out.
They like, what are you talking about? So now they like, yo, well, you need to take this year and a half. We get you a year and a half, and you could come home. I'm like, I'm not doing a year and a half. At the time, I just signed a record deal, and I didn't do nothing. Like, I'm not going to jail for nothing I didn't do. Like,
right.
I'm just not doing it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that process, those 2 weeks before the trial started was a lot for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it was stressful. Like, you know, I'm in the studio trying to record, but I'm not even eating. My mind is like, damn, I'm really facing this amount of time.
My life could go in such a glorious direction, or
after I'm out of this. I'm finally getting out of the hood, and you
Yeah.
talking about sending me to jail. So it was like the worst feeling. Like,
Right.
I would wake up days I just didn't eat for days.
wow.
I felt like I lost like 15, 20 pounds. I was stressed. My mind wasn't there. I just had a newborn son. It was a lot, man.
Yeah.
So, but for some reason, I just felt like, I was like, this ain't gonna go right.
Yeah.
It just felt like maybe I manifested it, or maybe it just was, you know, it was a reason. You know?
You felt it.
I felt it.
Yeah.
And I remember the day when I went to trial. I mean, we went to trial for, I think it was 2 days.
So it was quick. It was a quick time.
Quick trial. You know, because they just had 2 witnesses.
Yeah.
It's one person saying I did this, one person I said I did. There was nothing else. There was no evidence, no physical evidence, nothing at all.
Wow.
It was my word against theirs.
That's crazy.
My word against theirs. I didn't have no priors, nothing.
And it was just from a line like that. Looks like the guy that robbed me.
That's it. And then he made up a story. I never smoked cigarettes in my life. So imagine this. You never smoked. I remember me and my grandmother used to get into arguments because I wouldn't go to the store to buy a cigarette. She like, go to the store. I'm not buying no cigarettes. My mother, we go to the same thing because I'm like, you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes.
Right.
So they sit on the stand. This man sits on the stand and said, I got in his car smoking a cigarette. My grandmother just starts crying in the back of the courthouse because she like, not my grandson.
He don't smoke cigarettes.
He anti-cigarettes that I know y'all lying. She got up crying and like, you lying. They escorted her out of the court. So that was emotional for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that was a real emotional time for me, just knowing what I was going through at that point. And then I remember the day where they was, you know, they charged the jury, sent them out, and then one of the jurors came back, and he started asking questions like, so what does this charge mean? And what is this degree? So I'm looking at my lawyer, and I'm smart enough to realize if he's saying that, then they think I did something. You know what I'm saying? He ain't asking this for nothing. He just want to make sure they charging me with the right thing.
Right.
So the lawyer, you know, he said, yeah, pretty much. So I remember I went out in the hallway. I called one of my manager, Tone, at that time, and was like, listen, I'm more than likely going to blow trial. You know, my son is 1 year old. Just do what you can to make sure that my son is okay. Whatever it is, I could deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Make sure my mother and my son is okay.
Yeah.
You know, and he did that, you know. And he was like, what's going on? Because he didn't even want to come to the court.
Right.
And I was explaining it to him. He was like, he just was mad, like, damn. You know, and I remember I go back in there and they said I was guilty. They didn't let me go home, so they took me straight in. They wouldn't give me no bail. Wow. The next day was so crazy. Chris came to court too. Chris was there. I was supposed to do the Vibrant Thing remix the next day.
Damn.
Like, I remember when I was like, yo, we're going to do the remix, studio sessions the next day. He was trying Q-Tip joint, you know, and I was supposed to drop the album. He's like, yo, can we just finish it? Give him a couple weeks because the album was pretty much done. Yeah. We just wanted to do a couple videos. They wouldn't give me nothing.
Wow.
Nothing, nothing. I had no priors, nothing. They just would not allow me to do anything. So it was just being
And then
cold.
you think, is that, like, was it the your attorney, or was
my attorney was bad.
Yeah.
He was bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was they never really respected him. He was a queen. Like, I realized a lot about the law now, you know? And there was a real key moment in my trial that I didn't pay attention or I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get one of the top lawyers at that time, his name was Murray Richmond. He was the top lawyer in the Bronx.
Don't worry, Murray.
Don't worry, Murray. So Murray was going to take my case.
Yeah.
But he came in there and was like, yo, listen, we want to take the case. Because that was Todd's guy. Todd Moscow was called. It like, you got to get married. You got to get married.
Yeah.
So Murray was like, all right, we're going to take the case. I told him. He's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So he goes to the courthouse, and he's like, I'm going to take the case, but I can't start this case for another 2 weeks because I'm on trial in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I remember the judge was like, no, this case is not going to be superseded. This case is going to start. It's going to start.
Yeah.
And I did not know that you could just fire your lawyer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm so nervous because
Yeah.
I'm just in here. I'm hearing them like, this case is going to start. So now I'm nervous. My mind is saying, if I tell this, you telling me that he can't be my lawyer right now because he's on the case.
Right.
And if I try to act like I don't want this lawyer, he might lose this shit on purpose.
Yeah.
So now I'm caught in between the rock and the hard place. So he goes, the judge is like, Murray's like, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you. He's telling the judge, well, I can't start. So he's like, this case has to go on. No, we're not postponing it.
Wow.
So the DA knows that they can't force me to have a lawyer that I don't want.
Yeah.
So he says, well, do you want the lawyer to stay on as your lawyer? So I'm confused.
Yeah.
Now, if I would have known, all I had to do was say, no, I'm firing him, and then you can't make me take a lawyer I don't want.
Right.
I would have been like, nah, I don't want him no more.
Yeah.
But I'm so nervous.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, he's good. I'll just take it.
That's us having to
You
know
what
the
I'm saying?
law.
Not knowing the law.
Yeah.
Like, so that every time I think about that one moment in my case,
Wow.
I know that could have shifted the whole
thing.
trajectory of it. And so,
And that's so then, I mean, sentence, because it was 7 to 14, right?
7 to 14 years.
And you served all 7.
Yep.
And that's, I mean, to us, in the community, that's almost, and I hate to say it, but it's almost like, man, he getting his stripes. He doing his
That's
whole
what it
time. He ain't rat on nobody.
Yep.
He going in the hard way. And we almost, unfortunately, as black men, see that as strength because we know what you're up against.
Mm-hmm.
And to be resilient in that and to be snatched away from your dream. But to know, like, man, what is that experience like, man? To just, that's 7 years of your life when you at your prime.
Yeah, it was a tough transition for
Right.
me. The first couple weeks and days, like I was just silent.
Yeah.
Just understanding that, damn, 2 weeks ago I was at the Super Bowl.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I'm in the Mondrian.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm in Jay-Z's and Puffy's party. Like, how am I sitting in the cell right now?
Right.
So just sitting there, but that was before my sentence because they didn't sentence me as soon as I blew trial. So I was just sitting there and just trying to figure it out, just trying to make sense of all these things. It was a tough transition.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of the old heads was just like, you just got to do the time, beloved. You can't let it do you.
Yeah.
I remember old dude said to me, every day that you sit in here and you don't learn something or you don't grow, the system beats you.
Mm.
And that was my mind state from there. I just started reading. I started exercising. I didn't get involved with prison politics.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be in the yard beefing with you over no weed. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't gambling with nobody. I just stuck to myself. Wasn't with no gangs.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't affiliated with nothing but me. I surrounded myself by a real small group of individuals who had the same moral compass I had. There's so many good dudes in prison.
Man, I've met some of the wisest brothers.
Listen to me, some of the wisest brothers I've ever met are in prison, man. Some of them are never coming home.
Wow.
And they pass those jewels on to you.
Yeah.
They used to sit me down and be like, youngin', you're going to get back out there. Eventually, you might not see it right now because you just see there's 7 ahead. But you're going to get back out there and you got to do something.
Yeah.
You got to stop these kids from coming in there because every day it's a young 20, 16, 17-year-old going upstate facing life in 20 and 30 and 40 years.
Yeah.
Because somebody told them there's something in here.
Yeah.
You know, somebody made them believe you ain't real unless you come in here.
Right, them stripes.
And we trying to get out of here. You got us believing that there's something in there. Because I remember we used to sit around and the OGs come on, I was in the yard.
Yeah.
You know, my shorty came to see me.
It sound
you know
like
what I'm saying? They let me have the gators on. I was controlling the phone. And you was like, word. They're like, you ain't never been through nothing. You ain't been up north. And you looking like, word. I got to go up north to be tough.
To be tough.
To be tough, to be real. And then you realize there ain't shit up there. It's nothing but fake shit. Like, you know, and then when you when you get in there and you actually see that, I had an obligation to change that narrative.
Right.
So immediately, that was my goal, man. That was my mind state. Like, yo, I got to go home better than I came in here, but I got to tell the truth about this.
Yeah.
You know, so that was how I got
Man, when you came home, I mean, it felt like the streets had a warm welcome for you, man. They was excited. I mean, the legend of, you know, somebody who really went in, did it, you know, did their time and able to come home. And, you know, to me, it seemed like you got back to rhyming.
I did, because that was the first thing I knew. You know what I'm saying? I went back, but I wanted to put more of a spin of reality of what it was, not glorifying the negativity, explaining the negativity, and then give you the reality of that nigga. Because the reality is, if you in the streets and you doing all this, you know, negativity, you going to jail or you going to die. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
So if you think something else, they lying to you. Facts. Anybody else that's trying to tell you, you know, when Future said God blessing the trap niggas, I don't know the trap niggas. You know what I'm saying? I don't know them. The trap niggas I know is doing 100 years. They doing 30. My best friend got triple life. I don't know the person that's blessing. So I was giving you the facts. And I was shooting down the myths. So that was how I came home. Like, I'm just gonna shoot down the myths of all the lies. And I'm gonna be on this and I'm being anti-fake this. You know. And you know the industry don't like that.
That's what I was about to say. The streets embraced you, but how did the industry embrace you? What was your industry?
The industry wasn't embracing that. I was too real for. I bet my man Tone, we was in the car, and we was talking, and I had just put my first mixtape out.
Cause stuff had changed too. You had been away for 7 years.
7 years, man. The whole trajectory changed. Like the whole culture of what I knew was just different. You know what I'm saying? It takes the time. It takes time for you to reacclimate yourself to society, man. You have to go through stuff. You got to speed up, you know, because you on a different time. You're still in 99. You know what I'm saying? It's 2006 when I came. So I'm looking around and I'm moving. You know, people are loving you, but you scared certain people because I was way more militant. You know what I'm saying? I was way more serious about things. Like and you know how the industry is. You can hug somebody and they be like, yo, I love you. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to call you tomorrow. And you don't expect that. You don't expect that to happen. But when you come home from jail, that's serious.
That's real talk. Don't tell me something.
As a man in jail, the only thing you got is your word. You tell me something, you got to do it. So I was running down, not really, but I was checking you. Like, yo, why would you tell me that? And they like, well, what you mean? You told me you was going to do something. You didn't do it. I called your phone 3 times. You didn't answer. Like, we're not going to play that. Like, deal with me like a man. So that was scaring people.
Scaring people with the real.
You scaring people with the real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get new songs. You giving them to DJs. And they like, I'm going to play it. They don't. You see them again. Like, why you ain't play the song? What happened? Like, oh, my bad. You in the club. You get a DJ the song. They play like 3 seconds of it and then take it off. We running up in the DJ booth. You know what I'm saying? We not playing. So they were scared of us. They like, these dudes is too serious, you know? So that became that, you know what I'm saying? I realized that wasn't a play. My man said, you too real for the industry. It's not going to really embrace you. You got to figure something else out. You know what I'm saying? So then And
I would say that's when your calling came. I mean, and really where you are on the front lines and as an activist and somebody that we really embrace. How did that all come to pass where you said, all right, I'm going to take the rap and then apply it to, or even the voice that you had, because you've always had respect. But how do you take that and say, all right, I'm going to take what I got from the streets, what I got from the industry, and really change the mindset of the next generation?
I think that was always my goal. I think it's just evolution. You know, as men, when you're a man of good moral caliber and principles, you eventually evolve into that. I don't care how it is. That's why
you feel like that was part of the journey that took you all the way through. Like I had to go through everything that I went through
to get where
get to where you are right now as a leader.
That's what I said. I said if I wouldn't have got incarcerated, I'd have probably been one of the biggest hip hop artists. You know,
Right.
I don't know if I would have found my way the same way. I don't know if I'd have had the same perspective. I don't know. I wouldn't have had the same understanding. I wouldn't have saw these little 16-year-old kids incarcerated. I wouldn't have saw how, you know, the correction officers was beating up, you know, how racist the system was. I wouldn't have went through that trial and seen how it was pretty much navigated for me to just blow trial, how they pretty much put all the pieces in order for us, and then we the only people overpopulating these prisons.
Right.
So that wouldn't have been my reality.
You was really in it, so you could talk the real way because you experienced it.
You know, so I think God put me there for that reason. So
Right.
when I came, after I realized that I didn't want it, like I love rap, you know, just like you. Like, you know, we love the thing, but you realize the industry shit ain't really for you. So you do it when you want to, when you decide, when you got something on your heart. I be loving them Sunday. You putting those together. Now, they tough. I think you underrated as a lyricist, man. Especially when I listen to those, I be like, nah. Yeah, I be talking my Nick, but Nick got some bars, man. He put those things together, man.
Good luck.
So when you realize that the whole industry thing ain't for you, and you just do it because of your passion, and then you do it on your own time. You do it the way you want to. You do it how you want to sound. You ain't trying to say, I need a hit song. I got to make this song for radio.
Right.
And I fell away from that, and I just started making music that I love, and I combined it with my passion to elevate my people, man. And then when I met Tamika, she had just stopped working with Al Sharpton, and she was working with the Gathering for Justice with Harry Belafonte's organization. And she introduced me to Carmen, and we started going to detention centers. And I was sitting in there teaching them. And my first real entry point into the movement was Eric Garner's death. We was doing a class in the detention center, me and Carmen, and we got the call about what happened to Eric Garner. So we watching the video, and she was like, "We got to hit the streets."
Right.
And I'm like, what that mean? You know what I'm saying? I had never done a protest before. So that was the first time I literally went outside to a protest. All the rest of the stuff, but literally went outside was the Eric Garner protest in New York City. And I was like, this is my calling. Man,
and your voice is so powerful, man. And we've seen you on the front lines and speaking, and sometimes whether it's the bullhorn or even if it's just on IG or whatever, you talk that talk, and it comes from a place, it resonates to me with the streets because you talking to them the way they guys talk to them. But you saying something that's so powerful and so prolific, and you speaking truth to power a lot of times. Your voice is needed, man, and in a way that we really don't. Like, the definition or even how we classify a leader today is real murky. You know what I mean? Sometimes they think like just because you're a celebrity, you could be a leader. I mean, Malcolm X said it the best. It is like, man, you don't see no white comedians as leaders of the white community. You don't see singers and trumpet players and things. Not to knock all of those people, because I feel like their heart is right. But what I believe, as someone who's an entertainer, what Malcolm X was trying to say is that, you know, we shouldn't be looking to Kanye West. We should be looking to Cornel West. We should be looking to brothers like yourself who, you know, are entertainers, and they should have strong voices too. But when people who really on the front lines willing to sacrifice it all. Exactly. And that's what you've shown to be somebody like, look, I'm out here. I've been through it, and I'm a strong voice that's willing to sacrifice it all. When did you come to the mentality that you were going to be a leader and not an entertainer?
I think that was decided for me. I don't even know. I still don't know if I decided that because it ain't even so much. I love music. You know what I'm saying? I rap. I'm still put together a dope freestyle. Put together a dope EP. You know, it's gonna be the soundtrack to the revolution. But you know, that's what I do. It's my passion. But my purpose is just aligned with both of them. You know, I think the fact that I'm musically inclined and I love what I do has given me the platform to be able to utilize for my purpose. You know, so they go hand in hand, and that's why I call myself a Raptivist. You know, like Sister Soldier said, a Raptivist, because that's what it is. That's what it is for me. So I think my purpose is going to outweigh my passion, but they both go hand in hand. You know.
And now speaking of hip hop, you've talked to some of these young boys, maybe not probably one-on-one that we don't know in private, but definitely in public, where you talked about the responsibility that they have to say something with their voices and calling it out with, because we don't ever want to sound like the old heads of, y'all ain't, y'all ain't hot, that ain't real rap, that ain't real hip hop. It's nothing about that, but it's saying, man, y'all out there getting to it, y'all getting a bag, but it ain't all about getting money, especially if it's at, the sacrifice of your own people, or you're turning a blind eye to what's going on in these streets. Yeah. Why did you feel it was important to speak up to a lot of the younger people in hip hop for that?
Well, I think for me, I never wanted to be the old head that's talking to the kids. Never wanted to be that. I never wanted to be the dude with the fish tank shoes. Telling you,
right, straight out, I'm going to get you sucker.
I didn't want to do that, you know what I'm saying? So I always said to myself, how do you speak to these kids in a manner in which they respect you? And then I said to myself, what would you have had to say to me at 17, 18? How would you have had to talk to me for me to receive your message, and not to see it as you were somebody who just was out of touch or old trying to tell me? Like, I didn't want to talk to you. I didn't want to talk at you. I wanted to have a conversation with you. And I realized at that time, when we was young and I was from my community, the people we gave that type of leeway to was the drug dealers, was the dudes who had the fancy cars, who've been through it. Yeah. So I knew that I had been through it. I knew that they was gonna respect me for something that they didn't even understand, didn't validate me. You know what I'm saying? I'm an OG, but because I went to jail, it gives you some level of validation. So what do I do with that level of validation? So when I come on, they like, what's up? And I'm going to have the same conversation. What's up with you? What you doing? You good?
Yeah.
And they like, yo, you just came home. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing in there but dudes that's dying.
Yeah.
And the COs is looking in your asshole. And your wife is getting harassed on a visit.
Yeah.
You got to drive 9 hours. Ain't nothing up there, beloved.
Yeah.
So I don't know who told you anything else. You know what I'm saying? Those are the conversations I'm having with them. Straight up, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. I'm not making only thing that I'm going to glorify about prison is the fact that I made it home. Anything else they telling you is a lie. And anybody else who's telling you that is not a OG, he just an older little nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Bars.
So, you know what I'm saying? So this is how I'm giving it to him. So it's like, damn. And I'm moving in the same way you moving. We still, I'm moving
get
with
to
you.
it.
But I want to tell you the facts.
Yeah.
So then that made them attempt, they draw it to that. They was realizing that, and I realized that's how you got to give. You got to give them to a raw. They don't want no chaser on it.
Yeah.
They don't want you lying. Like, people like, oh,
they don't want a positive message.
Yeah, they don't want
that.
a positive message. You got to put. That's why, you know what I'm saying. They put cherry flavored cough drops. They don't want it. They don't want to taste.
Right.
You know what I'm saying. They don't
the medicine.
They don't want. You got to let. You got to. You know what I'm saying. So that's what it was. I was giving it to them, and that was my method. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to these kids. I'm not gonna sit there and act like it ain't what it is. I'm gonna tell you the facts. I'm gonna tell you that there's sharks in the water.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not telling you, I'm not forcing you not to go in there. Just understand when you go in there with the sharks, you got to deal with what comes with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you want to be in the street, cool. I'm telling you that it's stupid. Now, you can be in there, but I'm telling you.
And they utilizing you and you a pawn.
I'm going to tell you that. Real king. Look, cool, you cool with that. I'm going to give you, but I'm going to keep on. And every day you realize that I'm telling you the truth. I remember my son told me, at 21, he told me the first time that he wrote on his Facebook, I'm just scrolling through Facebook, and he's like, yo, my dad never told me nothing that was wrong.
Right.
But for years, you arguing me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't do this. Yeah. Yo, I want to play basketball. All right, you should go to this school. I don't like this teacher. It ain't about the teacher. It's about the school. It's about the program.
Yeah.
You already the MVP here. Nah, I'm too good. Okay, go ahead. But I'm telling you that ain't going to work for you.
Right.
So when you go there, it don't work for you. It's because this, okay, I want to do this. All right, so you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you that's not going to work for you.
Like the OGs
always
say, look, I've been your age before. You ain't never been mine.
So that's how I'm giving it to them. I'm giving it to you straight facts, music. I'm not trying to stop you. I'm not trying to preach to you. None of that. And I think that's why they listen to the message that I give to them. And I feel like a conduit between generations.
Facts.
And that's my goal. My goal is to try to translate it to whoever. And then I could translate what the kids are saying to the older generation.
Yeah.
We was on a call with Pastor T.D. Jakes and a bunch of other, profound individuals, and they was just talking about the protests and, the violence that was in there, and I was just trying to explain to him,
this country was built on
it
violence.
was, it was built on that, and
that's what that's the only thing America respects.
And they need you and your voice to respect them. They need you not to think that they don't have a strategy, because they do.
Right.
Their strategy is that they're not gonna let you understand the strategy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That their strategy is that they're gonna go wild. That's a strategy.
Chaos.
Chaos is a strategy.
Yeah.
And when you embrace them, then they can take some of the jewels you got.
Yeah.
That's why Common said that we need the energy of the youth and the wisdom of the elders. But you can't stifle their energy and expect them to get your wisdom.
Yeah.
So that's my goal.
Man, and you doing it in a real way, and you exemplify what strength and what a black man should be to our community. And I mean, obviously, like I said, your story has to be told. I mean, it's being told here, but we can't wait for the book. So I know that's coming. But now, but even speaking of like education, and you from the School of Hard Knocks, but when we in 2020 right now, and we see the importance of lineage, purpose, passing it on to the next generation as a father, what is next for the movement, like to actually, and what's next for Until Freedom, and then what's next for Mysonne?
I think we just have to continue to be vigilant. We have to continue to do the work. Yeah. There's so many different entry points into this movement. Everybody's not going to do what Mysonne does. Everybody's not going to do what you do. Tamika does. Angelo does. Some people have a different purpose. Yeah. Some of you might know somebody that you can bring to the movement. Some of you might cook cookies for the movement.
Right.
Some of you might have some funds to donate to the movement. Some of you might know about tech that we need for the movement. Yeah. Whatever it is that you can do. Like I say, this is one of my sayings. All you got is all we need. Because people like, that's all I got.
Game right there.
You know what I'm saying?
Bars, yeah.
If that's all you got, then that's all we need. But do something.
Yeah.
One of my spoken words, I don't have the right to do nothing, came from that. Like, we don't have the right to do nothing.
Yeah.
You have to do something. We as a black man, a black person, a person of color that's been persecuted in America, we have no right to do nothing. We can't sit back idle and just sit back and say, I wish this happened. No, figure out what can you do.
Right.
If all you can do is just tweet about it, then tweet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? People have become leaders from tweeting.
Tweeting.
You got to figure it out. But
the tweeters.
The tweeters. Like, you know what I'm saying? But just do not do nothing, man. As far as Until Freedom, our goal is for us to go out of business. We want to have nothing to do. We want to have nothing to fight for. You know what I'm saying? But until that,
sitting down in utopia, enjoying
exactly,
it.
That's our goal. But until freedom means like we gonna fight until we actually get freedom.
Right.
Man, so we gonna be vigilant. We gonna make sure that people are held accountable. We're gonna uplift. We're gonna go to different communities and uplift their voices, to give out, resources in the communities, because we don't want to just protest.
Yeah.
We want to build the community. Like, it's so many different grassroots organizations that want the same thing, that have been divided for years. I say all the time, if King, Malcolm X, the Panthers, and all of them was one organization, just imagine that.
Wow.
We haven't seen that.
That's true. That's real.
And the enemy has utilized us against each other for years. And I think we're at a stage now where all of that energy, where it is possible, because we've seen a playbook. We read the playbook. We can't keep falling for it like we ain't read the playbook.
Right.
So now that we read the playbook, we got to understand the strength in all of these different organizations that's in one movement.
Yeah.
We're not going to be divided because your strategy is this, or my strategy is this, and they want to give this nonprofit this money, and this nonprofit ain't got this, and you got the more publicity. Like, we're not doing that. We're going to bring all of the resources we got, and we're going to figure out how do we get this together and move forward together to get what we're trying to get. So that's what Until Freedom is going to do. As myself, as an individual, I'm going to continue to play my part. My book is out. I have a children's book.
Oh, okay.
Called I Know My Rights.
Right.
And it's educating the young kids.
That's fine. Where can we get that?
You can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
I Know My Rights. It's a children's book about the 10 Amendments of the Constitution.
Right.
It's breaking down the rights for the kids so they understand our
Straight
kids.
Bill of Rights.
Exactly, because we have interactions with police real early.
Too early.
My first interaction was at 8 years old, just going to school. They're pulling you over, asking you questions. You don't know. My rights got violated so much, I didn't even know I had them.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So we used to get thrown in the back.
That's a bar.
You know what I'm saying? We used to get thrown in back of police cars, and they drive you around, beat you up, take whatever you had, and drop you off on the corner. And we just thought that was normal.
As long as I ain't have to go to jail.
You know, as long as we ain't go to jail. They be like, what you doing? We like, nothing. They throw you in the car, and they handcuff you, and they beat you up and throw you, and we thought, we got away. We ain't go to jail. We had rights. You know what I'm saying? And when we our kids are taught they have rights, and you ask questions like, why am I being detained, sir? Am I being charged with something?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You start saying that to an officer at 10 and 11, they gonna look like, all right, let me leave him alone. Let me go bother somebody else because he know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to educate our kids with that, and my book does that. It's a dope book for kids, even for older people. A lot of the parents, Snoop brought like 400 of the books.
Oh, that's love.
Lauren London brought the books. There's so many people that's been giving me rave reviews about the books. It was #1 on Amazon, and I'm just blessed that so many people have embraced the book the way they have.
That's love. So. Definitely got to show some love on that.
Yes, sir.
Because Cannon's class is all about educating the youth, so we definitely got to make sure we cop a bunch of those for you on that line. And then you're going to tell the Mysonne story. That has to be told.
Nah, that's coming. It's called Life Teaches and Reality Bites.
Oh.
That's going to be the name of my book.
Oh, well, hey, we can't wait for it. We appreciate you being on this front line out here with us in Louisville and planning. So y'all living here.
We live here. Literally live here.
Until we get justice for Breonna Taylor.
Justice for Breonna, man, because we realized, like Angelo said, we realized that the incremental thing wasn't working. You know? And what they do is they try to wait till the movement fizzes out. They try to wait you out because they know you get tired. They know every day you don't.
It's a new news stories, news cycle changes every 24 hours.
We ain't gonna play by Breonna Taylor, man. This ain't gonna happen. We ain't going nowhere. We're gonna be here every day. We're gonna rejuvenate the ground. We're gonna give them resources. And when they can't walk, we're gonna walk for them. We're gonna do all the things necessary because this is gonna set precedents, especially for black women. Black women, like I said, we have yet to see a black woman receive any level of justice. She's the most disrespected and hated woman in the world. The oppressed of the oppressed. And we can't, and I'm just no longer okay with that. I'm just not okay with that. I'm a son of a black mother. I'm the brother of a black sister, and at this point, it's just not gonna happen. Man, well, we appreciate you. Keep leading, King. Yes, sir, man. There it is. Keep doing the same. One and only Mysonne, Cannon's class. Let's go.